नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामने गौरतुषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। आप सभी भक्तों का हार्दिक स्वागत है आज के प्रातःकालीन श्रीमद् भागवतम के डिस्कशन फ्रॉम चैतन्य चरितामृत। एवरी मंडे वी रीड फ्रॉम श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत। So today we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 2, verse number 31 to 36. So I'll be reciting the verse. Along with me, you can also recite one time, and then I'll read the translation. And verse number 36 we'll recite multiple times. शिशुवत्स हरि ब्रह्मा करि अपराध अपराध क्षमा हिते मागे न प्रसाद. After Brahma had offended Krishna by stealing his playmates and calves, he begged the Lord's pardon for his offensive act and prayed for the Lord's mercy. Tomara nabhi padma haite amara janmodaye Tumi pita mata ami tomara tanay. Lord Brahma says, I took birth from the lotus that grew from your navel. Thus you are both my father and my mother, and I am your son. Pita mata balakera nalaye aparad aparadha kshama more karaha prasad. Parents never take seriously the offenses of their children. I therefore beg your pardon and ask for your benediction. Krishna kahe na Brahma tomar pita Narayan Ami gopa tumi kaiche amara nandan. Sri Krishna said, O Brahma, your father is Narayan. I am but a cowherd boy. How can you be my son? Brahma bole na tumi ki na hao Narayan. Tumi Narayana suna tahara karan. Brahma replied, Are you not Narayan? You are certainly Narayan. Please listen as I state the proofs. So till this verse, Lord Brahma says, I have done a great offense unto your lotus feet, but please don't mind. After all, I am your ignorant son. As mother and father, they don't seriously take the offenses of their ignorant child. Similarly, I am also your child. Krishna said, No, I am a cowherd boy. Your father is Narayan. So actually, all these verses, these are lecture given by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is giving lecture on Bhagavatam, verse number 30. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse number 14. The verse number 30 is Lord Brahma says, this is the verse spoken by Lord Brahma, Narayanastam nahi sarvadehinam atmasakil adhisakil loka sakshi Narayano angam narabhu jalayanat tachapi satyam natavaiva maya. So this is very important verse. So Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is giving lecture on this verse in upcoming almost 15-20 payars of this Krishna Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Krishna did not speak anything when Lord Brahma was offering prayers. So Krishna did not speak anything, but Lord Brahma thought Krishna might think like this. Krishna may say that I am not your father, and Krishna may. So in this way, whatever Krishna's argument may be there, in order to not excuse Lord Brahma. That is why Lord Brahma himself is stating each and every reason, and Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami he is explaining. So this is the benefit of hearing from a bona fide spiritual master. When we hear from such bona fide spiritual master who are devotees, pure devotees of the Lord, So they know the heart, so they can explain properly. So now next, Lord Brahma starts explaining. He gives the reason that no, you are the Narayan. Not only you are Narayan, but you are original Narayan. You are source of all Narayanas. So this is verse number 36. Please repeat after me. Prakrita aprakrita srishte yata jiva roop tahara ye atma tumi mula swarup. Prakrita aprakrita srishte yata jiva roop tahara ye atma tumi mula swarup. Prakrita aprakrita srishte yata jiva roop tahara ye atma tumi mula swarup. Please repeat. Hare ye atma tumi mula swarup. Prakrita aprakrita srishte yata jivaru tahara ye atma tumi mula swarup. Mataji. Prakrita aprakrita srishte yata jivaru tahara ye atma tumi mula swarup. Word to word meaning, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prakrita, material. Aprakrita, and spiritual. Srishte, in the creations. Yata, as many as there are. Jivarupa, the living entities. Tahar, of them. Ye, who? Atma, the super soul. Tumi, you. Mula Swarupa, ultimate source. Translation. All the living beings within the material and spiritual worlds are ultimately born of you, for you are the super soul of them all. Purport. The cosmic manifestation is generated by the interaction of the three modes of material nature. The transcendental world has no such material modes, although it is nevertheless full of spiritual variegatedness. In that spiritual world, there are also innumerable living entities who are eternally liberated souls engaged in transcendental loving service to the Lord, to Lord Krishna. The conditioned souls who remain within the material cosmic creation are subjected to the threefold miseries and pangs of material nature. They exist in different species of life because they are eternally averse to transcendental loving devotion to the Supreme Lord. Krishna bahirmukha jiva bhoga vancha kare. Nikatasthe maya tare, jhapatiya thare. Sankarshan is the original source of all living entities because they are all expansions of his marginal potency. Some of them are conditioned by material nature, whereas others are under the protection of the spiritual nature. The material nature is a conditional manifestation of spiritual nature. Material nature is a conditional manifestation of spiritual nature. Just as smoke is a conditional stage of fire, smoke is dependent on fire, but in a blazing fire there is no place for smoke. Smoke disturbs, but fire serves. The serving spirit of the residents of the transcendental world is displayed in 5 varieties of relationships with the Supreme Lord, who is the central enjoyer. In the material world, everyone is a self-centered enjoyer of mundane happiness and distress. One considers himself the lord of everything and tries to enjoy the illusory energy, but he is not successful because he is not independent. He is but a minute particle of the energy of Lord Sankarsana. All living beings exist under the control of the Supreme Lord, who is therefore called Narayan. Hare Krishna. So, thank you very much for kindly coming and attending our discussions on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Seeking the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, we would like to discuss something on this verse. Although Lord Brahma, he is explaining in great detail this entire section. This section explained by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in upcoming almost 15 to 20 verses in Bengali payars of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it is just an explanation of one verse of Bhagavatam. And each and every verse of Bhagavatam contains great amount of deep knowledge as well as great devotion to the Supreme Lord. That is why Srila Sanatana Goswami says, Prati akshare prati shloke prati akshare nana sabda nana artha ka hai. I'm beginning. What is the beginning? Krishna tulya bhagavata vibhu sarvashraya. Krishna tulya. Krishna tulya means it is as good as. There's no difference between the verses of Bhagavatam. The sound vibration of verses of Bhagavatam is as good as Krishna tulya. Vibhu sarvashraya. Vibhu means the greatest. Sarvashraya means everything resides in it. Just like Krishna. Krishna, Srila Prabhupada wrote a booklet, Krishna, the reservoir of all pleasure. Everything emanates from Krishna. All pleasures rest upon him. Entire creation rests upon him. That is the meaning of Sarva Ashraya. He is the shelter of everything. Similarly, Bhagavat, being non-different from Krishna himself, contains so many deep realizations, meanings. But for devotees, the most important meaning, the most important essence of Bhagavatam is that they experience love for Krishna in each and every word and verses of the Bhagavatam. That is why devotees, they go on explaining Bhagavatam in different ways, different meanings. They can share their realizations. In another place, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that this Bhagavatam, Sarvasha, it's like sky. So, according to the capacity one has, he can fly. If somebody is great, just like Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he spoke on first verse of Bhagavatam for 3 months. He gave lecture on Bhagavatam for 3 months. And his Bhagavatam class was not like 8 to 9, 10. Not limited to this. When he used to speak for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. So in this way, he went on explaining for 3 months. So similarly here, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is just giving one explanation of this verse. So here, Lord Brahma is stating, Krishna, you are the Moola Narayana, and he is giving the references, and he is giving reasoning, logic, everything. So here, Lord Brahma says, Prakrita aprakrita srishta yata jiva rupa. Atahara ye atma tumi moola swarupa. The Atma means super soul. Atma means living force, because of which everything moves. Just like we have this body, I am moving my hand, I am speaking, I am seeing, hearing, everything. Whatever our senses, they perform its activities because of the presence of Atma. Atma is simply present. Atma is not doing anything else. Practically, Atma is completely inactive when in this material world. All the activities are carried out by modes of material nature. Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sarvashaha. Lord Krishna says sarvashaha. Not just moving hand and legs. The activity is done by senses, gross senses, and the activities of mind, intelligence also. All these activities are carried out by modes of material nature. Different three modes. Mode of goodness, Satogun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. So when a living entity is senses, mind, intelligence, acts according to the modes of material nature, that is contaminated or conditioned activities. And that brings suffering to the living entity. But all these activities are carried out by modes of material nature using the senses of the living entity only when that living entity is present within the heart of the body. As soon as the living entity or Atma leaves the body, immediately all functions finish. No more actions, no more thinking, no more feeling, willing. Thinking, feeling, willing is function of mind. Discrimination, decision, and planning is function of intelligence. And performing various kind of activities using our hands, legs, eyes, ears, nose, that is a function of gross body. But all these functions are carried out only and only when the living entity or Atma is present within the body. Jai Shri Shri Radha Ras Bihari Bhagwan ki Jai. Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Bhakta Hanuman ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Similarly, Lord Brahma says here that, my dear Lord, you are actually Atma. You are Atma of Yata Jiva Rupa, all the living entities, all the creation. Name Vidu Suragana Prabhuvam na Maharshaya Ahami Devanam Ahamadiri Devanam Sarvasha. There also one word comes, Sarvasha. That I am the actual controller, I am actual performer of entire material existence and spiritual existence, including everything. So similarly, Lord Brahma is saying here that whatever is happening here, that is because of your control. You are actually Atma. So this is the meaning of Atma. That is why in many places Krishna has been referred as Atma. But what is that Atma means? Atma of entire cosmos. That is super soul, Paramatma. We are also Atma, but we are minute Atma, Jivatma or Adumatma. But Krishna is also Atma. He is Vibhu Atma. Vibhu Atma, Vibhu Sarvashraya. He controls everything. He, under his direction, his management, his control, everything is going on. All the living entities. And that is what the meaning of the word Narayana is. Nar means living entities. Nar means aggregate total of all the living entities, including this material existence and spiritual existence. All the living entities. The word means Nara. And Ayana means all these different kinds of living entities are working under the controllership of Lord Krishna. Or all these living entities are under the shelter of Lord Krishna. That is the meaning of Ayana. So that is the Narayana. So Narayana, that is why Krishna is also Narayana. Other day, some devotee asked this question, why Narad Muni chants the name of Narayana? So His Grace Ramrup Prabhu gave nice answer. That in Krishna, all the incarnations are present. But from here we can understand one more reason. That Krishna, one of the name of Krishna is Narayana also. Why? Narayana means who is controller or shelter of all the living entities. That is why Krishna is Narayana also. So devotees of Krishna can chant the name of Narayana also. So there is no doubt. So all these, that is why Tahara ye Atma Tumi Mula Swarup. You are the original Swarup, original form. So in the Vedic literatures, there are in various places Jivatma, and in fact this material cosmic manifestation has been explained like this a form or expansion of the Supreme Lord. Just to illustrate this, just to explain this point, that all these living entities and all the material and spiritual existence, they are dependent upon the Supreme Lord. All these creation, living entities are under the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Scriptures, they explain in Upanishad, Vedas, Purana, there we find verses where we find that all these, whatever we see, including living entities, are just expansions of the Supreme Lord. So those who are not devotees, they misunderstand it and they explain that We are also the Supreme Lord. Simply, just like यहाँ पे श्रील कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी, he is Tahare Yatma Tumi Moola Swarup, Srishte Yata Jiva Roop. All the Jiva Rupa are none other than your form only. You are the Moola Swarupa. They are expansions of your Lordship. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, actually, Sankarshan is original source of all living entities, and all living entities. We are expansions of Lord Sankarshana. But simply because we are expansions of the Lord, we don't become Lord. It has been explained clearly in Vedic literatures. Lord Krishna has two kinds of expansions, Swamsha and Vibhinnamsha. Swamsha, when he expands himself in Swamsa way, then he expands, his entire potential is manifested upon that expansion. And those expansions are as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all the Vishnu Tattvas, they come in the category of Swamsa. And there is another expansion, Vibhinnamsha. Vibhinnamsha means separated expansions, who remain eternally separated and who are infested with only minute quantity of potential of the Supreme Lord. So that those expansions are known as living entities. And Sankarshan, being the original expansion of all the living entities, other day Shimon Prabhu was explaining, Lord Balaram, he has the attitude of service to the Supreme Lord. Although Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna are non-different, they are both the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Balaram also has 64 qualities, Roji explained. So as good as Krishna and Balaram, no difference. But still, Lord Balaram takes the position of servitorship to the Supreme Lord. He always maintains the attitude of service to the Lord. Why? The main reason is because he is emanated, or he is expansion of Krishna. That is why he thinks himself that I am actually servant of Krishna. And another reason, which in Chaitanya Charitamrita we find, that all expansions of the Lord, including Balaram, Sankarshan, Narayan, all Vishnu Tattvas, because when they accept the servitorship to the Supreme Lord Krishna, they experience more bliss than accepting the position of being the Supreme Lord. That is why they always want to execute their service to Krishna. And for this reason only, Lord Vishnu is there in the material world and expanding himself in three forms and maintaining the entire creation. Otherwise, he has no business to remain here. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains this. Tumi Sarveshwareshwareshwara Brajendra Kumar. Tumhara ichha hai Vishwe Srijan. Lord Vishnu, by your ichha, by your desire, Lord Vishnu maintains. Lord Brahma creates and Lord Shiva annihilates. So everyone has this intrinsic, this constitutional position of being servitorship or servant of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Because by doing this, they experience more bliss. What to speak of all other living entities and expansions of the Lord Vishnu Tattvas, even Lord Krishna himself, when he desires to experience the bliss of devotees. This has been explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains when all the Brajvasis, devotees of pure devotees of Krishna, they serve Krishna with the desire to give happiness, pleasure to Krishna. So in that process, what happiness or bliss Krishna gets, their happiness is unlimited times more than Krishna's happiness. So that is why Krishna also desires that I also want to experience that bliss. In order to fulfill this desire, he comes as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is one of the internal reason of Lord Krishna's coming as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And another external reason, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that when Krishna came and he spoke Bhagavad-gita, so then he was acting like a teacher and he spoke entire Bhagavad-gita. So that was like theoretical lesson. Everything he explained and He thought all the living entities now they will understand Bhagavad-gita and become free from cycle of birth and death. But when Kali Yuga came, and this was not happening, rather most of the people, they were not taking interest in reading Bhagavad-gita, but simply they were engaged in some ritualistic activities, karma kanda, to get some material benefit. And some who were interested to read Bhagavad-gita, study Bhagavad-gita, they were misinterpreting it. So Lord Krishna then thought, again I have to come, and now in this time I have to become a student and teach them how to understand Bhagavad-gita and how to follow the teachings of Bhagavad-gita. Specifically, the verse, the conclusive verse of Bhagavad-gita, which Lord Krishna spoke 2 times. Lord Krishna gave so much stress on this Bhagavad-gita. Whatever I have spoken, Arjuna, now hear from me. What you have to do. I have spoken Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, everything. Actually, all these chapters, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, all these yoga Lord Krishna spoke just to direct these different kinds of people towards Bhakti Yoga. Just like you find in Karma Yoga, Lord Krishna spoke about one must perform his prescribed duties, one should not give up prescribed duties. But ultimately what he spoke, verse number 30, he speaks, Mai sarvani karmani sanyas adhyatma chetasa nirasir nirmamo bhutva vigata jara. See, yuddhasva vigata jara. That you perform your duty without lethargy, without thinking about yourself, but about me. That means you work for me, for my satisfaction. Mai sarvani karmani. So what is the meaning of this? Mai sarvani karmani? That you engage all your actions and of course results of the actions in the service of the Lord. So this is Bhakti Yoga. That is why Karma Yoga Prabhupada translates as devotional service only. There's nothing. But the devotional service is on different levels. So this Karma Yoga is also devotional service, but it can be said a mixed devotional service, because the devotee has attachment for performing action. So he has some skills, so he wants to perform that kind of action, but he wants to perform it for Krishna. Like Lord Brahma, he wants to do creation, but he wants to do creation for Lord Krishna. Similarly, every devotee has some inclination to serve. So we can engage our serving attitude, performing those actions whichever we like, but for the pleasure or for the service of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And that is what is Karma Yoga. Krishna says, what is that verse? I forget. That is better than not performing action. Engaging our senses in the service of the Lord, that is Karma Yoga, and that is better than renouncing the work. Lord Krishna explains. But many people, they misuse this, and they think when a devotee, he leaves everything and becomes devoted to the Supreme Lord. So they think that they are renouncing all the activities. And they think when we are engaging in all kinds of activities, we are following Bhagavad-gita. We are Karma Yogi. That is why they write Karma hi Puja hai. But actually, if what is Karma and what is Puja, they don't understand. Even if we accept Karma hi Puja hai, but whose Puja? There must be some object of Puja. So they should also write Karma hi Puja hai, but my Puja. Because whatever activity a living entity does in this world, for whom he is doing? He is doing for himself. But Krishna is not saying like this. Krishna is saying you perform karma, but through your karma you worship me. So karma hi puja tab banega jab when you engage your karma in worshipping Krishna, then it will become karma hi puja. Otherwise, that karma will become bhoga, and you will have to take birth again and remain entangled in the cycle of this miseries and happiness. Another significant point, what is karma? The activities what we do in this world, most of the people, 99% people, what activities they do, that is work, that is not karma. Because karma has been explained as prescribed duties. Prabhupada writes prescribed duties. Prescribed duties means which has been prescribed or which has been ordered or given, assigned by superior authority. Just like when you work in some company, so what is your responsibility? You don't decide your responsibility that I'll do this. No. The manager or the company profile, decides your responsibility. That becomes your job. That is your job, prescribed by higher authorities under whom we are working. Similarly, every living entities are under the control or working under whose direction? Krishna. Krishna is providing everything. We are under the control of Krishna's government. So Krishna has created this system. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartiyayata agha ayur indriya ramo mogham partha jivati. Krishna says, mogham partha jivati. I don't understand why he is living. He speaks like this. Mogham means worth. Uselessly he is living. Why? Because he wants to enjoy, but he don't want to surrender to me. I said, okay, you don't want to surrender, that's all right. But you want to become happy, that you want. So I am giving you a process where you don't have to surrender to me, but where you can, by following that process, you can become happy in this material world. So what is the problem? You don't surrender to me, you don't become my devotee. But at least you follow this process, this cycle of satisfying the demigods and working according to the directions of scriptures. Karma Kanda is Shastra you follow. But no problem. But still, because of envy, you don't follow. So that is, what is the use of your living? Because whatever activity, Krishna is saying this, I am not saying. Krishna is saying to those kind of living entities that whatever activity you will perform, if you don't direct it towards demigods, you don't repay it back, then you will have to suffer for it. You can't just go on taking from material nature and enjoy. No, you will have to pay. If we take water supply, electricity supply, everything from government, then we have to pay also. So similarly, whatever we get resources from this material world, in the form of light, air, water, and grains, and everything, including this body also is given by material nature, this intelligence, all the facilities, everything is provided by material nature. So we have to pay it back. If we don't pay it back, then agha ayur. Agha means pap, sin. Our agha ayur, that life itself becomes sinful. That is sinful life. So the life which is sinful, so how can a person expect happiness? Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport. So if a person's life is full of sin, so how can he expect to become happy? That's not possible. Agha ayur indriya ramo mogham partha jiva. That is why these kind of people, they are uselessly living in this world, not understanding the fact that I am under the protection. So every living entity is under the shelter of the Lord, and he must follow or abide by the laws of the Supreme Lord. So I spoke this verse, I forgot. Connect something. Okay, anyway. So Lord Sankarshan, yes, every living entity, all the expansions, Vishnu Tattva, Narayanas, they are servant of the Lord, and in this way they get more pleasure. So yes, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the second reason, external reason why he manifested, so he came here to teach, practically teach, demonstrate how to follow the teachings of Bhagavad-gita. So I was speaking about the two most prominent, the most important verses of Gita, what one has to do after understanding, reading, and speaking Bhagavad-gita. What one is supposed to do in his life, and that is Krishna speaks, Man manabhav mad bhakto madhyaji maam namaskuru. These four things one has to do, whether he is reading Bhagavad-gita, listening Bhagavad-gita, or speaking Bhagavad-gita. So these four things are for application also. The man mana means always think of me. You just engage your mind, always thinking of me. So before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there was no clue how to always think of Krishna. If I just sit down, how to think of Krishna? Although Krishna spoke, if you cannot just think of me, then okay, you do your work because you are attached to the work. Maham anusmarana yuddhacha. You work, but you remember why you are working. But that also became very difficult. We work and then we become entangled and we start enjoying the fruit. So that is why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came actually to teach practically. When I spoke this word, manmana, what it means. And what is the meaning? That you chant the holy name of Krishna. So when we chant the holy name of Krishna, then we automatically think of Krishna. When we directly do some service to Krishna, then we automatically think of Krishna. Because there, then we are not the object of enjoyment. Srila Prabhupada gives the example that when you are going out and distributing Back to Godhead magazine, so some devotee, he asked, when I am distributing Back to Godhead magazine, so at that time, how I am thinking about Krishna? Srila Prabhupada asked the question, why you are going out and distributing Back to Godhead magazine? You could have distributed other magazines also. So if you distribute other books, other magazines, then you become salesman. And salesmen mean then you will contemplate, think, how can I earn more profit? How can I earn more commission? But when a devotee goes out, then he distributes books. What is his thinking process? How can I give Bhagavad-gita to this person so that he can become devotee of Krishna? How can I fulfill the desire of Prabhupada that more and more Bhagavad-gita should be distributed so that others can become devotees of Krishna? So this thinking process should be, will be there. So Srila Prabhupada explains, in this way, when you are distributing books, you are thinking about Krishna. That is very natural. So what is the difficulty? But even sometimes we find the difficulty. And how we can recognize that while doing some service, whether book distribution, preaching, Deities services or any services, if we are doing it, how we can understand that I am doing it in thinking about Krishna, I am doing, so whether I am thinking about Krishna or not, so we can understand it very easily if after doing that service, if we become, suppose if we do some service and the results don't come, and then if we become morose, that means we were doing it for ourselves. Like if we went out for distributing books, someday we distributed 50 books. The announcement was there, such and such devotee distributed 50 books. Very nice. Next day we distributed only 5 books. So there should be no moroseness because we gave the same energy, same effort, same time. So if we don't become morose, that means we thought about Krishna. We distributed, we served Krishna. But if we become morose, that means there was this thinking that I should also get some name, fame. Similarly, it applies for fundraising, for preaching. And sometimes you go and in your program, 100 people will come and attend. And sometimes only 20 people will come. Of course, we have to try. We try our best so that we can encourage everyone to come and join the program so that they may become devotee. But that should not disturb our consciousness. If our consciousness is getting disturbed, that means we need to work on our own self first. First means simultaneously, we cannot give up services, but we need to become more serious about our own sadhana. Like morning program is a perfect program. If one attentively and properly does it, Srila Prabhupada says, then whole day he will be able to serve properly. But when sometimes it happens when we become morose because of our own material desires, even during morning program, chanting 16 rounds, we are always contemplating about that desire to fulfill, how these desires can be fulfilled. So in this way, gradually, that means that enthusiasm to serve, go on serving Krishna, that goes down. Because in this material world, it's very difficult to preach. Even to convert a single living entity into a pure Vaishnava is most difficult task. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said, using all my Gaudimat, all my preaching work, all my literatures, whatever I have written, all my disciples, if I can convert even a single person into a pure devotee, my mission is successful. He used to encourage his devotees that if you are going out and preaching, if nobody comes, still you should preach and speak to 4 walls. So this is a mood, proper mood. But if sometimes we lack in this mood, that means we need to work on our own self. Our own, whether I am performing my devotional service with proper intention, proper purity. If not, then we have the process. We need not to become discouraged because we are all patient. Patient sometimes during the course of this treatment, sometimes disease goes up and down. So what he does? he reports the doctor and takes the medicine. And our doctor has already given the medicine. Srila Prabhupada, Krishna is the original doctor, and Prabhupada, being his pure representative, he also becomes his doctor, our doctor. The Prabhupada has already given the medicine. What is the medicine? Chant Hare Krishna. So there's not so much requirement to have so much discussion. Okay, we can have discussion. We can sit with devotee and discuss this problem I am facing. So that discussion, the devotee who is guiding, his responsibility is not to just go on discussing, but with no conclusion. That discussion should lead to inspire the other person, other devotee, to take shelter of the holy name of Krishna. Then only the disease will go away. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, preaching means to give faith to the people for chanting the holy name of Krishna. If one can get this faith that if I chant the holy name of Krishna, I take shelter of the Krishna's holy name, then definitely all my problems will be solved. This faith is required. Then, so whenever we come across such situations, we become disturbed. So we should firmly take shelter of Krishna's holy name, and it works. And even if sometimes we find I'm chanting, like Srila Prabhupada said, one devotee wrote him that I'm chanting 16 rounds every day morning, attending all the program, but still I feel my mind is disturbed, agitated. So what should I do? Then increase the dose. Srila Prabhupada replied very simply. He said, then you chant 25 rounds, chant 32 rounds. What is the difficulty? Go on chanting. This medicine is not like other medicine. If you increase the dose, then there will be side effect. The more you take, the more your disease will be vanished. This is the simple formula. But one has to have faith and patience. Patience is required because this disease, to overcome this disease, it takes little time. Although, if one is very faithful and sincere, he can experience it within a very short period of time. Like all the devotees who are in ISKCON movement for even if for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and if they have taken the process little bit seriously, they very easily they experience, yes, earlier I was so much disturbed about so many things, bad habits, or anybody comes and speaks some harsh words, I used to become very disturbed. But now at least I am convinced and I know, okay, this will go on. I should remain fixed up and follow the process. So this we have already experienced. So using this experience, we can go on forward more and more and execute our business of properly taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet and at the same time performing our preaching services because we are indebted. We are indebted to Srila Prabhupada and devotees who have given us this opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness and become purified of all anarthas. So definitely we have indebtedness. We have indebtedness, and a devotee who is genuinely seeking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, he gets this desire that I should serve the Lord. And what service Krishna wants? First, one kind of service that we serve for our own purification. Another service is that we serve to please the Supreme Lord, to follow His desires. Lord Krishna's desire is that all other living entities should become devotee, so that they may also get relief from this material existence. So a devotee who properly takes shelter of Krishna's holy name, then he gets this desire that I should serve others also. But this is done in balanced manner. If sometimes, because we are also not completely pure, just like this ISKCON is hospital, and Srila Prabhupada is chief doctor, main doctor, and Srila Prabhupada's disciples, few disciples, they are also doctors, complete, no patient. But there are, most of us, we are, at least for myself, I am a patient. But because we have so many patients outside, so sometimes doctor says that you also do take the treatment, along with your treatment, you also go and become doctor. Means you act like doctor and you connect others. So in this process, we go out and preach and we bring many patients. But sometimes it happens, the doctor who is preaching to the patient, means who is treating the patient, the doctor comes in this condition that he has to be sent to ICU. Then patient becomes bewildered. Oh, he is a doctor. How he is put into a ICU? Huh? But one has to understand that everyone is patient. Someone is senior patient, someone is junior patient. Senior patient means um, he is not in serious condition, not in ICU. But new patient, they are in ICU, so they require more care, more treatment. But sometimes when we feel that my disease is increasing, then better to focus on our treatment. We should take very seriously the treatment, and along with that, we have to go out and do the treatment. Whatever treatment we are taking, it's not difficult. Whatever treatment we are taking and it is helping us, that same treatment we have to give to others. If we manufacture our own treatment process, that will not work. Then that is the work of motivational speaker or so many social reformer or this counselor, career counselor, they guide. One counselor, he used to come to temple, so he took my contact number and once he called that this student, he has come, he has done graduation, he has come from UP and he is facing challenges. He is unable to speak properly English, and so he, please you also guide. I have guide. So I simply said that, see, all your skills you develop, you go join this English speaking courses, and whatever training is required you do. So these skills will help you to get the job. But this is not sufficient. If you want to move forward, career building means you have to build now. You have to go forward, on and on. So you will be only go on and on if you are mentally stable. And you will only be able to keep yourself mentally stable if your mind and heart is purified, pure, in mode of goodness. And that can only happen if you take shelter of Bhagavad-gita, if you take shelter of Krishna. So you come temple and attend programs. So in this way, we should guide people. When we go out to colleges, sometimes they will suggest us that you speak so that students' stress will go away and they may be able to focus more on studies. So we can design our program in such a manner that it appears that it will be helpful for their studies and anxiety, but ultimately we should know that we can only solve their problems if we make them devotees, if we encourage them to understand Bhagavad Gita and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Oh, I went somewhere else. In this verse, Lord Brahma is explaining that Krishna being the origin, Moola Ashraya, Moola Sarupa, Tumi Sarva Ashraya, being the Moola Sarupa, she is actually shelter giving, worthy to take shelter of by all living entities. So it's better that we take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, serve him, chant his holy name, and engage ourselves in whatever capacity more and more in his service. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If there are any comment and question.
Hare Krishna. In the verse that you are quoting, Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati yaha agayur indriyaramo mogam partha sajivati. Actually, Krishna speaks about three Ramas in Bhagavad-gita. One is Indriya Rama, another is Vishaya Rama, third one is Atma Rama. So, Indriya, Indriya Rama. So, this first Indriya Rama and Vishaya Rama are very dangerous. Right? Then Atma Rama, we should become. So, regarding once one devotee, he wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada from Tamil Nadu that Prabhupada, we were preaching in Madurai city and we are unable to collect any donation. Then we went to nearby village and we could collect lot of donation. what we should do? We should concentrate in Madurai or we should go there? Srila Prabhupada wrote back saying that the problem with you is your focus is on result. So don't bother about the result. Concentrate on your service. Then Krishna will give the result. Like that. So it is very important. That is why Srila Prabhupada did not want authorities to give targets to his devotees. Because Prabhupada said, if you give target, he said, you encourage and give enthusiasm, enthuse the devotees so that they will collect and they will distribute books out of love. But if you target, then it becomes material. If you give targets. Because Tamal Krishna Maharaj and one more devotee, they were making targets. So many devotees, so and so devotee should distribute so many books. So and so devotee should collect so much money. Prabhupada, he just dismissed that idea. But of course now we do all that. So we should, that's my point is, we should focus on service, not on the result, like you are saying.
Thank you. Any question? Regarding this, Srila Prabhupada mentions in one of the lecture, my Guru Maharaj has a strong conviction. Why go and flatter people? You simply speak about Krishna, money will come. Lecture, Srila Prabhupada mentions this many times.
Good morning.
Hare Krishna.
Why, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Why does Krishna has desire?
What?
Why does Krishna has desire?
What?
That we should worship him.
We should
Worship him.
worship him. Oh, so that is for our benefit. Krishna doesn't require our worship. Krishna has unlimited living entities. He has millions and trillions of devotees who are continuously serving. And Krishna even don't require them also. He is Aptakama. Aptakama means whose desires are fulfilled by himself. He doesn't require him. Even for this material creation also, he doesn't require demigods and all those. He simply gives the opportunity so that they can, because we have desire to do some action. And when we do it for ourselves, then we become entangled in the cycle of birth and death and miseries of life. But if we use our same propensity to serve Krishna, so we become liberated. So just to give us the opportunity so that we can become free from this miserable condition of life.
So how to
Krishna.
get rid of that birth and rebirth cycle?
Sorry?
How to get rid of that birth and rebirth cycle?
Yeah, this is the way. This is the way. Krishna says, Yad karoshi, yad asnasi, yad juhusi, tat kurush madarpanam. You do it for me. You want to work, you work, but give it result to me. Because if you enjoy the result, then you will be entangled in the cycle of birth and death. Like here, we have such nice, beautiful deities and so nice decoration, dresses. Janmashtami will come, so gorgeous celebration. Why? Krishna doesn't require this.
Yes.
But when a living entity who has done so much sinful activity, earned so much money, if he enjoys that money, he will be suffering eternally. So Krishna gives the opportunity, you come and give to me and you serve me in this way.
But why would somebody not enjoy the money? The kind of work I do,
You can enjoy, Krishna is not stopping, but then you have to bear the consequences also. The consequences is that you, because that hard-earned money is earned by sinful propensities. There are sin involved. Any kind of, you do any kind of job, any kind of work, there are sin involved in it. So then you have to take that sin also. If you want to get rid of those sins, you want to purify your money, your work, then you give it to Krishna. Krishna demands 100% so that you may become 100% free. But no problem, if you want 50%, 20% freedom, you give that much. But at least something we should give and start our journey towards pure life, towards Krishna consciousness. That is the best opportunity Krishna is providing.
Dhyan is the only way.
Huh?
Dhyan is the only way.
Gyan means then we have to apply Gyan also. Gyan Krishna has given in Bhagavad-gita. This is Gyan. That you understand you are not the enjoyer, I am the enjoyer. everything belongs to me, and you give it to me. And you also become peaceful and become free from miserable condition. This is Gyan. But this Gyan should not just remain in the head. This should be manifested. Means we should practically
Yes.
execute it. Then only we will be benefited.
Because I manifest money a lot, but then when I give money to the needy, I'm still not satisfied. Why is that?
Because you have not given to the proper person.
How do
Because
I find the proper person then?
No, even if your hard-earned money, if you give to...
Mandir has everything, so Mandir doesn't need my money.
This has been explained in Bhagavatam. Yatha taror nishchesh mula nishcheshanena tripyanti yat bhujau shaka. Means just like a tree is there. So if you water trees, each and every branches, leaves, flowers, neither you will be satisfied nor those branches, full flowers will be satisfied. If you put it on the root, then everything is distributed to all the flowers, fruits, leaves, everything, and everything grows nicely. Similarly, Krishna is the root because he is supplying everything. Whether needy, not needy, rich, poor, intelligent, whatever it may be. Even to the living entities, 84 lakh species living entities are there. So many millions of ants, elephants, so many. Who is feeding them? They are not needy. They are also needy. We don't feed them, but Krishna is feeding. So why not to give to Krishna? Just like we think, if we find some proper government project by which government is doing some nice welfare work, so then we are inspired, okay, we should give to government. They will properly utilize it. So similarly, Krishna is the proper person. He is Supreme Personality. He doesn't want for himself, but he wants to do welfare for every living entities. So when you give something to Krishna, then it is distributed to all the living entities. That is best. And secondly, if you are thinking that this person is needy, suppose if you give money to some beggar, but you don't know how this money will be utilized by him. If he utilizes that money in an improper way, in sinful way, then he will also get the bad result and you will also be getting the bad result because you gave the opportunity.
How do I survive that?
Huh?
How do I survive that?
Survive?
Like
Yeah.
if that person, if I'm giving something to someone needy, if he is not
you give.
utilizing the money
We
in a
have,
proper
suppose
way,
somebody,
how do
what
I
need is there? Food. So we have program, Food for Life program is there. So we give millions of free prasadam every day. So you support us, but we don't just give food, we give offered food, Krishna's prasadam. So in this way his hunger is satisfied and as well as he becomes spiritually advanced. So that should be done. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Granth Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, Shriman Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande,
His Grace Anantarup Gaur Prabhu ki
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Jai.